Welcome to Nigger Chicken. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like a smoothie.
Oh shit! Is it you, PGA Tour winning Tiger Woods?
Cowboy?
Yeah. Whoa.
You're working at Nigger Chicken now?
You're not allowed to say that. Only I can say that. Only employees.
All right, whatever. I'd like 2 cotton burgers. I'd like 1 order of whiplashed fries and
that was
and a
2
smoothie.
whiplash fries and three cotton burgers.
Yeah, I heard that Kendrick Lamar album, and I gotta say, the first thing I thought about was you.
Why would you think about me when listening to Kendrick?
I got your first album, Cowboy. I know you were ambitious.
Listen, I know you going. Let's not talk about my career because I'm clearly in dire straits and my life is in shambles. But your life, you've been going through some messed up stuff.
Oh, we're gonna bring that up now.
You're all sweaty and you smell like vodka. Hey man,
okay.
You know I'm a registered life coach now.
Oh, you're behind the counter at a fucking Nigger Chicken. You're gonna life coach me. All right, I got a couple minutes away from my order. Go ahead.
Hey man, I can put you through this new, I forget what it's called, but it's like a training method, and it's like a 12-week course. Each course costs $5, so you owe me about $4,000. You know. And I'll help you out so you can stop being a bum-ass nigga and get drunk.
You're listening to the Double D's podcast.
I'm Dom.
I'm D Respect.
You got a great set of tits.
I get so angry thinking about this kid.
Because that's what most people are bitching about.
I'm from New York, you know what I mean? We like to eat out here, you know?
You gotta stop looking at interacting with people online as a cheap date. My father used to drink.
Get the fuck away from me. I'm done.
I come a lot, by the way.
You're doing the rap stuff.
If you didn't say it, somebody in the comment section would have said it.
It's like how you feel when you're having a paranoid high.
That's a dynamic connection right there. You're listening to Double D's.
I'm Dom.
I'm D Respect. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Double D's podcast. As always, even though it does not matter, we would like you to give this video 150 likes. 150 likes. Please comment on iTunes. Say it's the greatest show you ever heard in all of your fucking life. But thank you for listening.
Yeah, for you fucks who don't know, we're done after what 8 more episodes?
I'm done after this episode.
You're done after. So whoever comes up in next episode is an imposter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Some kind of android.
Also, we want to remind you again, please keep those voicemails coming in. Thank you guys for sending those voicemails. We will play a few of them at the end of the show. As we told you guys last week, just hit that fucking record button on your memo, your memo feature on your phone, and send it to d.podcast@gmail.com. That's d.podcast@gmail.com. Send it over. Don't ask any questions. One of you guys gave us a great voicemail, and then you ended it by asking us a question about, you know who you are, asking it about Kendrick and something else. Do not ask us any questions. This is your statement. What do you have to say to us? Do you like us? Do you hate us? How did this show help you? This isn't about us. This is about you. No fucking questions. You will not be featured on the show. That guy, you can ask. You can just send us in another voicemail because we're not playing that.
I do want to play one voicemail that we just got. It actually just came in. I'm going to play it right now. That's pretty interesting. All right, here we go.
Hey man, what's going on? It's Double D's cast. It's me, Kung Fu Kenny, man. I just want to say, you know, it's good your show is ending because that shit is awful, man. And I got to say, Dom, your impression of me is fucking spot on. And I gotta say, Cowboy, keep it up, man. Even though your raps are some trash, you know, and you'll never be like me, up to my caliber. You don't see me in my element, you know. Keep it up, bitch nigga.
We got a fucking voicemail from Kung Fu Kenny. That's
pretty. That was pretty awesome, dude.
I didn't expect that one, and it's Kendrick, so we got to play that at the top of the show. We can't just wait for that.
Yeah, that was a big deal, man. I mean, this might change the whole podcast now that everyone to TDE has shouted us out. Would we continue? Oh my God! Like if Kendrick was literally like, "Oh, I found this shit. This is awesome." Would we continue?
If you found this show, would we continue the show?
I mean, I wouldn't, but it'll be pretty awesome.
Why would that happen? Like, why would he do that?
I don't know why that would happen, but like
this podcast isn't, it's not like hip hop centered. It's like hip hop is one of the layers of the show.
Just if Kendrick was just
no,
doped up,
I don't. It just in any universe it doesn't make sense.
No, listen, it could happen.
No, you listen,
because he knew about dead end hip hop. Okay, so what if one day he's like,
yeah, dead end hip hop. It's a hip hop show.
Yeah, but check it out. He's like,
no, your logic, sir. It's Swiss cheese. There's
works.
holes all over it.
It works.
Hey man, I gotta check out Dead End Hip Hop, man. And he's like, who's this Mike Seatown man? Who's this guy?
And he's looking up Mike Seatown, sees one of my DSC things with him, or sees an appearance, one of his 2 appearances on this, and he's like,
Double D's, what's that?
Then he and Kendrick is all hopped up on Percocet in this situation. He's so high that he checks out our shit. Yeah.
What do you think is the likelihood that some influencer or some big name saw your material but just didn't anything? I'm assuming that there are people out there who have a name that lurk content.
Oh, of course, because they use YouTube.
They have people who do it, who keep their eye on things, but they're not going to make it noticed. But they'd be stupid to not pay attention to whatever content there is out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's silly to think that Drake doesn't use YouTube or SoundCloud. Like, he probably just like anybody else, he goes on SoundCloud to see whatever's on the Explore feature, and then lurks through all the shitty music. And he's like, yeah, you're garbage. And maybe he probably has a pseudonym. He probably uses some kind of like he could literally have an account called like Drake1 or I Am Drake, and everyone like thinks that it's just a fake one, but it's really him, and he's like, your rap is trash. Or he'll be like, yeah, just keep it up, man, you might have something. You never know. It's I think the odds are decent that someone has seen my shit. I'm convinced that one of the Death Grips people,
I don't think it's very likely. Okay.
I'm convinced that one of the Death Grips people has seen one of my things at least.
Oh, they've probably seen the Fantano animation.
Yeah, they had to have,
That's
because I mean
doubtful.
that's the biggest Death Grips cartoon thing online.
See, but Death Grips, I mean, that's so low on the scale. I mean, it is, but that's very low on the scale.
Right. So you're saying a big person,
A brand, a big brand, somebody who's an institution at this point.
Well, Logic saw Hip Hop RPG. And I mean, I don't know. Did you listen to everybody?
Did I listen to the album? Half of it, I think.
Oh, how was it?
I think it was half of it. It was.
Oh boy.
It was everything that everybody said it was. It was. It was PC. It was very pie in the sky.
Does he talk about him being half black?
He may have mentioned it once or twice. He may have mentioned it. I'm not sure. I have to listen back to the tracks and listen. When I listen, from what I listen to Logic's thing, I mean, it just makes me think sometimes, like, I'd like to know what exactly makes people hate positive music. And when I ask that question, I'm not saying it because I am a positive person and I look for a positive. I just really would like to know, like, what is it about us that makes us so, we just ball up. And when somebody says something like, God, that Spider-Man video, it's so hard to watch. I mean, I
didn't think it was as bad as you did. You were like,
man, that Spider-Man video, when they're dancing, when they break out into dance, in that moment when Logic is eating pizza, there's something about that moment that I hate Logic for about 2 seconds because he's just like, man, I'm just out here, I'm having fun, I'm eating pizza, I'm watching people do the dance, and it's like, we get it, Logic. You're a very positive guy, but it's like he smothers your face in it, and you can do anything to a fault. I think that much is true. Don't you believe that you can do anything to a fault? It doesn't matter if the music has a noble tone. It's art, and at the end of the day, your usage of reds can be tasteful, but they can also be too much. You know,
Yeah,
you can
but we're-
use that color way too much.
Of course, but we're talking about something different. We're talking about emotional content.
But why is that different? Why
it
is
is
that different?
Colors can be saturated, but it's not like.
What if colors are used to convey emotion?
They are. I mean, regularly, but like. They are. I hate how I said that. They
No,
are.
but I mean, you can become. Yeah, you did say that. It was a little.
Yeah.
Weird. You can become overly indulgent.
Yeah, and,
Right?
and that's a thing that I try and strike a balance with in my own shit, and I'm aware of it. It's a very delicate balance of like the kind of person who tries to be positive all the time is always sincere. What I mean is the kind of guy who's like guru types who are on YouTube and they always want to talk about yoga and meditation and shit. I can be in that headspace. I would say about 10-20% of my day. The rest of it I can't be there. Mm-hmm. The other day I just told you about like an idea I had. I've been watching Oz a lot because you turned me on to that on HBO, and I was thinking about
If I mentioned Ozzy, that must have been years ago because I haven't.
That's how long it takes for me to get back to what what you tell me to look at. But I was thinking about solitary confinement in prisons, and I started doing some research on it. And like, I was looking at books on Amazon about it, all this shit, and I was really getting into this zone of like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to people. This is horrible. I want to know more about this. How are people trying to stop this? All that stuff. I did that for maybe like 2 hours, and then I was like, oh shit. Now I know why this stuff keeps happening, because no one has the energy to continue this. The people who have the energy to continue it start when they're young, and they get beaten down by the time they're 30, and then they just kind of give up. And for me to, let's say I change my whole YouTube channel to talking only about solitary confinement and trying to change that system, it's like you can't exist in that reality constantly. There's something about it that like it takes a certain kind of energy out of you. So whenever we talk about something serious, I mean, you like, this is really meta, but like even right now, me talking about serious stuff, I mean, like I'm gonna end up talking about boobs or something in fucking 5 minutes, because you can't be like this all the time. And whenever, like, everyone knows someone like this, like they're so serious all the time, and it's like, God damn, can you just chill out for like 1 second? Like, give us like some breaks. Like, you need, at least that's the kind of person that we are. Like, I know that about us. It's like, you can be serious up until a point, or sincere up until a point, and then it's like, shut up, just like, whatever. Okay, I get it. So the whole Black Spider-Man thing, it's like, it's
Pizza. The pizza wasn't a bit
what's
much.
with the pizza in you? What? Why?
Because the pizza's like,
He's just eating.
no. The pizza says something else.
Oh my
The
God.
pizza's like showing a good conversation.
This is the Black Spider-Man music video by Logic.
Yes.
Guys.
The pizza is like showing a video of somebody enjoying a phone conversation, and then the next shot is them enjoying the phone conversation laying on bed with their legs up in the air.
Like a Getty Images photo.
I don't know what Getty Images are,
It's
but
a stock photo.
okay. Yeah, just like somebody just tossing up their legs, just a girl talking to her girlfriend or whatever on the phone. It's like there's a difference. It's like it's like we get the tone of the video, we understand it. Everyone, you're this great guy, positivity, diversity, all this stuff, and I don't know. Here's what I want to ask you, and I think I know your answer to this, because I think your idea of a perfect hip hop album is because of the internet. If there was one tone, one mood to an album, what would you prefer it to be? Oh, because I believe it would be sad, a somber tone.
Sad is a little too. I mean, because then I would love Damn, and I don't. I don't love Damn. Damn is like okay for me. One tone, I would say. Oh boy, here we go. Be sort of existential contemplation. Is that a tone, like sort of like what is this, like what is all of this?
I mean, isn't that because of the internet?
It is. You got me. Yeah. But it's also Cuddy.
You're right. It is Cuddy.
It's also
but I guess there's a
Cuddy.
difference between the execution. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's overly indulgent too. That's like,
What, the Gambino? You better not talk shit about him.
Well,
Okay.
no, I'm not. I don't mean the Gambino, because I mean, that was just like one album, and then he sort of evolved into something else. No. I mean with the Cudi, just choruses where you're just crooning like, that what we make fun of.
Yeah.
It is. He really, he's been milking that for years. So even that is just done.
Okay, let's talk about the dominant themes in your favorite albums, because I think my favorite shit, and I'm very aware of this, like my favorite like Beach House, Radiohead albums, Animal Collective shit. It's pretty sad, but this is probably that stuff that I was listening to very heavily. I don't know, 5-6 years ago. Right now, I think my favorite albums are kind of a little more upbeat, but like in the past for you, like I know you love Jay-Z, but like what his blueprints, like what were the dominant emotional themes on those albums?
Blueprint, I would say that the dominant, Blueprint was mainly iconic because of the production. And because Jay-Z brought in a different vibe to the game, because the samples were soulful. So the feel of the album wasn't really dictated by Jay-Z's content. I think a lot of it was sort of, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Like it was that sound that the album brought. But if I could speak anything to what Jay-Z had to say on the album, I mean, what there was it was different. I mean, what was it? H to the Izzo. There was Ether. There was Lyrical Exercise. It was just all over the place, kind of. I just think that album was so triggered production wise, and I think that's what made it the album that it was. And obviously, it was iconic because that's where he had Ether. So people are gonna regard it as a classic just because it had that song on it.
Okay, let's talk about Illmatic. I listened to that again recently, and the feeling I got listening to that was like, whenever I listen to Illmatic, it's like,
which, by the way, I've never believed that that's Nas's best album, but continue.
Which Nostradamus? Which do you like?
Of course, it's Nostradamus. Did you even have to ask? For
I'm
me,
a Sphinx.
It's different ones. I love I Am. That's one of my favorite Nas albums, and for whatever reason, I really enjoyed Godson. A lot of people disagree with me. Stillmatic to me was great. I'm not saying I put those albums above Illmatic, but I don't regard Illmatic to be this holy grail like everyone else perceives it to be. Same with Reasonable Doubt. I mean, I enjoyed Reasonable Doubt, but my favorite Jay-Z album would probably be the Black Album, or maybe Hard Knock Life. Was that volume? I was confused. Was that volume 3? Jay-Z. Continue what you were saying. I'm just gonna look through.
Shit, was it? All right, so Illmatic. The feeling I
volume
get
2. I'm sorry, Hard Knock Life. Yeah.
when I listen to that, I think to me, Nas perfectly represents and kind of embodies. If you could take, one time, follow me on this. Richard Dawkins once said in an interview that like
Flying spaghetti monster.
I hate when he says that shit. There's no evidence. Like, shut up. I get it. You don't believe. God damn. But like, a lion is a perfect representation of like the biology of the desert. It's like
I thought you were gonna say is the perfect biology of black people, or he was gonna say some shit like that. The perfect biology of the nigger.
The nigger has evolved. No, but a lion is like an expression. It's like the environment has expressed itself in this biological creature. And it's like, and it's not a penguin. It's not a what do you call it? A shark. It's like a lion. Like that's what the environment created. Like that biological being could only come from the millions of years being bred and dying in that specific environment.
I don't agree with this. Hold up.
Ah, quack.
So you mean to tell me that the duck ain't got nothing to do with the
What about the duck? The duck ain't.
Ducks evolved from prison systems.
Fam, if you ain't gonna
First off,
say it's
cages.
the duck, if you ain't gonna agree with
Quack,
it,
quack.
the
I
duck,
got
we got
to
a
tell you
problem,
something. I
fam.
went on Ancestry.com, okay? Quack. I went
Yeah,
on
well, what it say there?
And I got the paper right now. It says that you were descended from ancient ducks that were kept in wooden cages thousands of years ago.
Nah.
It says here, right here, your ancestors were all captive. So in some way, you are like fulfilling your destiny. You're continuing your genetic imperative.
Hey yo, I'ma see you in 2 weeks. Me and you,
Where
we
you-
gonna have words, fam. I'm coming to the studio.
All
Me
right,
and you
man.
gonna have words.
Go talk to your PO, dude.
You're
So
making nothing but enemies, by the way, at the tail end of this thing.
Oh yeah,
If you end up getting
shooting.
killed before episode 198,
Yeah, people know who did it. Quack is in there sharpening his feathers or whatever the fuck. Nas to me is okay. Humans are not exempt from that rule. You understand what I'm saying? Like Langston Hughes was a biological.
This is really you're really taking a lot of detours here. First,
I'm getting
Richard
back to it.
Dawkins, now Langston.
I'm getting
Hughes.
back to it, dude. You got to follow me on this, man.
Okay.
Richard Dawkins talking about the line being an expression, a line being the expression of that environment. It can only be bred from that environment. It's not a shark.
Okay.
It's not a lizard. It's a line. It's convergent evolution. It evolves with the environment and it expresses itself in that environment. Okay, Langston Hughes, Harlem Renaissance. It's like you don't get that kind of poetry unless you're in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's an expression of the city itself. That's what's amazing about Illmatic, which is the point I'm going to get to, is whenever I think about Nas, it's almost like he's a representative of the environment. He's expressing the feelings of everyone around him. He's just sitting there collecting. Since he's a kid, he's just collecting all of this data and becoming a representative of this pretty shitty environment that he grew up in, like dirty New York projects, being black, all that stuff. He embodies all of these things, and then it's to me, it feels like the environment expressing itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, the emotion that's expressed. If anything, it's sort of like if the city, if a city could talk.
You think that Illmatic is basically if the city could talk?
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I mean it's something that'll never be replicated again because
It's very macro to me.
Yeah.
He's not really talking about himself. He's talking about the environment.
No,
a lot.
yeah. That's definitely he's presiding over everything and sort of calling it that way. But it would never happen again because I mean I think if all right, somebody who's coming up right now who's definitely not on Nas's level, but let's say if he was
Lil Yachty.
What's this kid's name? A Boogie. A Boogie's a rapper. He's from the Bronx. Young kid. Had a lot of buzz, I would say, last year, but it's kind of like dipped down because he's had a few singles that have came and went. I don't know what he's gonna do in the future, but say if he made an album that was worthy to this, it still wouldn't be as praised because the city's changed so much. There's so much change in the city. There's gentrification. There's so much that changes the environment and doesn't create lions anymore. If we could use your stupid fucking analogy, but
Fuck you.
But it'll never happen again. And I think that's what made it important. It's like the time and that album. It was so right for that time and his age. I mean, because you could. I think one of the things that links it to being a historic album is the same way we can look at people like your boy Basquiat. What do they call him? The Radiant Sun.
Radiant Child. Yeah.
Radiant
yeah.
Child.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, you can look at him and he's a prodigy. You can look at Bobby Fischer. You can look at these, and Nas is the closest thing that you've ever had to being a rap genius. There's not another rapper that it was like, well, when he was the age of 8, how old was Nas? I think it was 18, 19.
When he made Illmatic, he was 18.
Something like that. Let's see. In 94. Let's see when Nas. How old is Nas? You're gonna have to do the math on this one, Doug. You're college educated,
Dude,
right?
you do it, man.
He's 43. Nas was born in 1973. So that would mean that he was about 17, right?
No. Hold on. We got problems now.
Yeah, he was 17. Yeah.
This is bothering. No.
This is how my shitty math works. Let me
This is
explain to you how my
bothering me.
shitty.
He was born in 74.
73. This is how my shitty. Oh no. No, he wasn't. I'm sorry.
He was 21. You loser.
Yeah. I was gonna explain.
God damn.
Because you didn't let me explain how my shitty math worked. I wasn't able to get to the.
I don't even know how your dumb brain works.
Excuse me.
I don't even know how your dumb brain works. You're like, okay, here's an explanation. I'm dumb, okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're the one with the lion analogy, and I'm the.
You know that shit is tight, and it bangs in the
wasn't
streets.
even
My analogy bangs in the streets. FIFO bangs my analogy in the whip. All right, he gets in his car and plays that shit. People love my analogy out there. Post in the comments if you understood my analogy.
It's quite possible, yes, by the time the album was released. But Nas, who knows when these songs were written. My point is that nobody's come out with an album like this that was a classic and it was revered as, being a masterpiece. And I'm pretty sure Snoop was really young when he came out with his first album too. But my point is that this is the closest thing that we've ever had to like childhood genius. So I think that's why it's a very important album. In my opinion, not the greatest Nas album of all time. If Nas would have died in his mid-20s, I think that would have been the point. He would have been more deified than anyone else, because Biggie's never made an album that lyrically has been praised as much as Illmatic has, and neither has Pac.
Well, here's the issue now. It's something that I've been thinking about in my own shit. Is like,
oh God,
I believe my art. Fuck you. 2D painting is not necessarily dead, but the idea of stuff being hanging in galleries, whatever your mom thinks drawing is and painting is, that stuff is gone. Whatever is going to be important is living. It exists in the digital realm. All this stuff is like Instagram, Snapchat, all that shit. That's where the next stuff. That's where the innovations are going to be taking place. Twitter, all that stuff. In terms of visual art. So I think that's the same thing with rap. And the problem is like. So let me try and draw some parallels this time more quickly for you assholes out there. Let's say you're trying to paint like Basquiat or something. Well, he did it already. He already expressed what it felt like to live in New York in the age when everyone had AIDS and fucking were fighting each other, and New York was shitty and not gentrified yet, and you didn't want to go to Times Square. Okay, Nas already did Illmatic. He expressed that, right? A guy like Joey Badass comes around and he's cooking with the same materials, wouldn't you say? Like, I'm not saying all of them, but he's descended from that tree. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So I already see a problem with that in the sense that like you'll do fine if you can cook from that, if you can cook using those ingredients, but it's not going to matter. It's not going to be as pure and different and as revolutionary an interpretation until we see someone who's describing how it feels like to be black on the internet in 2017 and is 21.
Then that's gonna be the new.
Yes, the new Illmatic, because that's just, it exists already.
See, but it's being done. It's being done already.
How so?
It's being done by people who are walking memes. They are. The guys that you love, that you praise, they are the ones right now that are doing
not
that.
Really.
If you're expecting somebody who is going to articulate the landscape of the internet at the young age of 20, that's not going to happen. That album's going to be fucking rejected. You think if there's going to be some futuristic
be
kid
more optimistic, man. Be more optimistic.
20 years old, they're going to hate him. These kids don't want to listen to that. That's gonna.
Damn, listen, you're saying he's too smart for them.
That's gonna absolutely. See, the minority would like that. The minority, the people that enjoy that nerdish side of rap would love it. But for the most part, people don't want to hear that shit. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear people say, man, can't get my dick on my pants. Yeah, that's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear somebody who's gonna like articulate. Hey, look.
But that's the equivalent of Nas. But the thing is, he had enjoyable. Like, you could play his shit in a party, and people wouldn't necessarily be listening to the lyrics. But he has all that content, so it's not gonna be excuse me, it's not going to be some mumble rapper. It can't be that. It's got to be.
I mean, do you think that somebody who does that has to, like Nas did, sort of comment and step away from it and not, like report it? Or are they just in it by being fucking walking memes?
It's not enough to be. I don't think it's enough to be in it. I want to see a conscious effort to step back and understand where you are contextually. We have enough data to do that. I don't
no one's
care
gonna want to listen to. Look, I'm not saying that album wouldn't be great. I'm not saying that
you might be right because Milo is like that. Milo is very self-reflective and meta, and I mean he's never gonna be that popular. Mm-hmm. But he is. But and he's probably a little too like impressionistic and really out there. But what we're talking about is like the perfect mix. Because I mean, I'm talking about Nas being this lion that came out of this environment, but I mean, we both know there were other people doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so why is he the one? I think another thing we're seeing, specifically in hip hop, but all obviously other realms of music, is there are splintering of genres in a way that we haven't seen before because of the internet. So literally, me being into Gambino's my guy, and I can live in that tribe. I can live in that group of people who are like, I'm not a Cudi guy, but I'm a Gambino guy. You understand? So it's like you're in the same country. We all know they live in the same country.
Speak a different dialect.
Exactly. And it's like I don't necessarily want to talk about killing myself every day. I don't want to talk about everything. I don't want to talk about how I want to die I might want to talk about that some days, but not all the time. Because Cudi will give you that in spades. Gambino's like
take the blade. Take the blade. Jesus, take the blade.
You know what? I don't appreciate you guys saying all this shit. You know what? I'm not going to take any more of it.
Flat existential mind.
Welcome to Flat Existential Mind Show. You know what? We're going to have a good time today. Or you know what? Maybe we won't. Maybe you guys don't even fucking deserve it. Me and my man Cuddy's right here. Cuddy's laying down on the floor. But you know what? None of this fucking matters. In fact, this concert's over.
Thank you. No idea where B.O.B. is in that whole.
I can't do a B.O.B. impression at all. He's at
the
the
earth
back
is
eating.
flat.
He's in the back eating chips. He just follows Hobson out. I wanna see that, but again, like I was saying, there are all these splinters now, which is it's a good and a bad thing because okay, when Nas was rapping, internet didn't exist. If you liked hip hop, you were listening to that shit. You're not listening. There's nothing else. You're listening to that type. Like you'd be out of your fucking mind to think that mumble rappers would exist back then.
The closest thing that you have to to what you just mentioned was the track that I sent to you a couple weeks ago by that artist from Connecticut. His name is ANoyd, Phony Habits, where he's basically he's personifying a phone.
It's Phony. I remember now. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, that is as close as you're going to get to sort of like internet commentary where it's done tastefully, I guess. I guess that's tasteful. But if somebody made a whole album where it's like, well, now I'm going to personify talking to Instagram. Now I'm going to personify not that it has to be done in that way, but I'm saying even if somebody did that that would get annoying to some degree. It's like, this is what I mean. I mean, you can look, it's in who's that quote from? That's a great quote. Is it Mother Teresa? I'm not even sure.
Cowboy. I think Cowboy said it.
It always seems impossible until it's done. You know what I'm saying?
It always seems impossible until you do it.
Yeah.
I wanted to work at Nigger Chick.
And it was possible when you made it happen.
Yeah, he did it. He believed it.
Right? You filled in the application. You passed the drug test.
Barely.
Dude, I knew this guy one time. I worked at a movie theater years ago, and I knew this guy who he was promoted like 3 weeks into my being working there. He was promoted to like supervisor, and he was working for the company I think for a few years. His name was Yanni. I remember. He had this annoying accent, and we had a meeting, the whole staff at the movie theater, and he gets up in front of everybody, and he's literally like, guys, look, use me as an example that dreams do come true. All right, guys? God. God is watching. He gives like this fucking TED Talk in front of the theater, and everybody fucking hates him for it. And then, check this out, and then Yanni gets fired a week later. someone stole money. The safe was short. And, I don't know if you know how movie theaters work, but movie theaters are normally made up of like 3 or 4 managers, the big ones. So there was a shift where money was like dramatically short, and he was one of the managers working there, and he got fucked. God is watching, Yanni.
Why that's terrible, dude.
It was great.
He's a dreams can happen, and then
and then you can get fired. Oh, Yanni. Poor guy.
Shout out to Yanni, dude. He probably listens to this show right now.
Little Yanni.
Little Yanni.
Yeah, so it's always impossible to. I'm sure somebody can do this well. Somebody's going to be able to do this well if they attempt it. But it would be extremely difficult because, as I said with the logic, if you're positive, people get sick of it. It doesn't mean that people are miserable. It just means, and that's something that logic doesn't get. Like I saw him in an interview. He was like, "People are hating on me because I'm talking about positivity." It's like, see, dude, you're still throwing it in everybody's face. How are you different from a fucking Christian saying people hate me because I say you gotta love the Lord? You feel me? Like Directions God does it all the time.
Yeah.
He's always fucking talking about this. It's like, dude, I don't give a fuck about God. Like, stop fucking putting that shit down my throat. So you can do anything till fall. And if somebody made that sort of an album, I want to urge you guys to listen to that track, by the way. I'm going to put it in the description below. This artist's name is ANoyd, ANoyd, and the name of the track is Phony Habits. I'm going to put it in the description below. It's just such a well done song. The video's great. Just a good song. I want to hear more from this guy.
In that same vein of someone sort of alchemizing the internet experience and putting it into music, this is something I've said before. I'm not sure if I said it on this show.
Maybe you should make the album.
Track 1, Instagram. Taking pics.
That's track 1.
You make it so obvious.
Yeah, I'm taking pics because I'm on the internet.
No, okay, in that same vein, people are always complaining about appropriation, specifically with black people in hip-hop and stuff. I think a part of me gets it in the sense that it's like, oh, wow, this is just mainstream shit now. Like, if you go on Reddit, the hip-hop head subreddit is like, it is one of the most popular subreddits now. Like, we all know that, like, white kids are, like, the main consumers of hip-hop, right? I mean, because, like, they're the majority of the fucking country. And so you go to Vince Staples' show or some shit, and it's like it's all white kids. So a part of me is thinking to myself, like, we're complaining about appropriation and people who are not like from these traditionally disenfranchised groups creating this medium that was, spearheaded by those people, right? You hear these things. So a part of me is like, okay, so it's. I think the responsibility then is on those groups to be like. Okay, so like it or not, guys like Kodak Black are the same as like Biggie in the sense that, and don't fucking. I know you guys in the comments like what? No, listen. He's selling drugs, kind of a shitty person, making music, right? And he's black, like those things, same things as Biggie, right? But what Biggie did obviously was make good music out of it. Kodak Black did not, on the other hand. But I'm saying. He did stuff that, like, okay, like, you know this in your heart. Riff Raff could not have existed when Biggie was around, right?
In what sense?
In the sense that, like, you got these corny. I love the guy because he's funny and to me he's entertaining. But like, I don't think you had that shit back then. I think Vanilla Ice was the beginning of that, maybe. Like corny white guys sort of just taking hip hop and kind of just like making like silly songs out of it, that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that shit was really hard to do back then. Super easy to do now. To take a hip hop beat and just say like, let's say you're some like douchey little kid and say you're like tripping off the Xans, just lie about it. You could make 1 million hits on SoundCloud now. But I think what you can't change, the point I'm getting to is what you can't change is true artistic expression that comes from poverty, desperation, really coming from nothing, and like that kind of feeling. I don't necessarily think we've seen the next level of hip hop yet from that field, but I think what I'm hoping is that we'll see that same level of like someone like Tupac or Biggie or whatever, even Nas, fully expressing what it feels like to be them, something that is not easily replicable. I don't know if that's the word.
You know,
That's what I want to see.
think,
the next level of that shit.
I think what you're getting to is kind of like I think what the internet sort of did. Like if you take an artist like ASAP, he is an example of somebody who is heavily influenced by the internet. Heavily influenced, and I don't mean by the sense that he came up through the internet, but I'm pretty sure ASAP coming up in Harlem, he was pretty big on Napster. He was pretty big on Kazaa, and he was downloading a lot of Southern records, a lot of West Coast stuff. So that's why when you hear his music, it's nothing to akin of anyone from Harlem. It sounds like somebody from another region, and I think that's what's lost in all this. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's definitely what's lost in the authenticity of hip hop. Where hip hop, what made every region what it was, is that every region was sort of segregated in its sound. You know, and people who sort of married those sounds together was sort of revered as great artists. Like one of the reasons why for example, one of my first favorite rappers, and you know, people laugh at me, but one of my first favorite rappers was Exhibit. And the reason why Exhibit was one of my favorite first rappers is because he had a West Coast sound, but he definitely went with like boom bap East Coast production. He messed around with those beats, and that's what made him great to me. And that's all going to be lost because now you can listen to somebody and you have no idea where the fuck they're from. I mean, fucking tell me that you thought Fetty Wap was from Jersey City when you first heard him.
That's not even a discussion anymore, really. Unless someone vocally claims I'm Philly, I'm Pittsburgh, or whatever, you don't really know.
But that's lost, and that's why nothing will ever be the same again because of that reason. Because everything was so centered around where you were from, and you can say you're from somewhere, but people have this traditional idea of what region you're from and what that's supposed to sound like. What's that supposed to sound like? So there is no more, you're from here, so you're supposed to sound like this. So that sort of makes everything the wild, wild west. And so it sort of has to reinvent itself because now it's not a regional thing anymore. Now it's just like this collective sound. And it's just like, where do we go from here? So maybe that's where you're getting at, to like, you know, the second wave of what hip hop is. This is sort of what I spoke about, the video that I made, that you guys may have noticed that I changed my format and everything.
Hip hop rule,
right? And what the reason for the video was speaking to the authenticity that you were just mentioning, where you can make a song and you can imitate something, but what never changes is the authenticity of somebody who comes from an actual area and who goes through that.
That's what I mean. So it's so easy now because we have a wealth. There's a wealth of data that you can just take and replicate now, and sound. You can sound.
And
like
because you know, and because you have knowledge of how things can turn out, because you've listened to so many gangster records.
Yes. So it all exists now. So that's what I'm saying. You can get a guy like Riff Raff or whatever who can sound like anyone who you want. I mean, I don't like. I just take him as an example. Like, we know there's all these guys right now who are just kind of sounding like everything that's come before, and they can sell out shows just by sounding like these things. And like, all that stuff exists already, so it's easy to pull from. What I'm saying is, I want to see what can't be replicated right now in this age. I want to see hip hop produce authentic people who are making stuff that's like so out there and authentic to their experience, and maybe the experience of a lot of groups, to the point where you cannot just enter without existing within that realm.
See, but something that's not replicated is something that's quickly going to derive away from being rap. You know, it's gonna.
But that's fine. That's fine. If you I've accepted that because that's the same.
No, fuck that.
It has
I mean, I can't listen to every artist. I can't listen to Redbone. I can't listen to Redbone. You know, imitated by every artist. It's like, I mean, Redbone's a cool song. I loved Get Out.
It's not hip hop.
But you know what I mean. But it's from a hip hop artist.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's from a hip hop artist, so we can still put it. I'm pretty sure in award shows, that album, if it's up for any awards, it's in the hip hop category. Not that classifies something as hip hop, but what I'm saying is that if an artist creates a certain song, they'll still be considered under the scope of hip hop. And if it's like, well, I want something that nobody's gonna duplicate, I don't want something that nobody's gonna duplicate. I want something. I want great stories. I'm not so much obsessed on how you execute it and whether you give me new sounds. I don't want you to reinvent the wheel. I just want good stories. That's why Damn was a good album. Damn just gave you good stories. It gave you something relatable, and that's it. That's all he had to do. He didn't have to come in here and reinvent the genre like Kanye feels he always has to do because he has some weird egoic neurosis about creativity and how he has to be at the forefront of it. It's just I want to make a story and I want to do it well. You know, you have people who are doing that. You have people like Joyner Lucas who are doing that. You have people like Mick Jenkins who, you know, he tries to put together good stories, but I think where he fails is in the execution of those songs. That last one,
not quite.
Yeah, that last
Oh,
one.
the healing component. Oh man,
the healing
I don't know if
component
it
had
was
that
you.
douchey.
And he keeps talking to the girl. I'm just fuck already, man. He keeps talking the healing component. It was like me listening in on me trying to sound deep to a girl so I could have sex with her.
Yes, and we never want to hear that. Like no one wants
And
to
it's like,
hear
stop
me
it.
talk
Just
to.
keep that out of the. So what's the healing component? Oh well, it's me, Nick Jenkins, and I have curly hair. And
It's
you're
like
oh,
love.
God.
You know, when you really think about it, love, love is love. You know, yeah, I know, I understand.
She's just getting wet. I'm like, that's fine.
That's
Go ahead.
great for Mick, but it's not working.
But I'm not fucking. God damn. Dude. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. All right, you guys are gonna think I sound nuts, but if this happens in the future, it was me who thought of it. Okay, literally a guy, a hip hop artist, a young black artist in the future, who's gonna be rapping on Facebook Live while he's robbing people and selling dope.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. You cannot fake these things. Yes, he's committing crimes, and it's going to be hard because he's actually incriminating himself while he's doing this. But you understand what I'm saying. Authenticity. This guy isn't lying. He's showing it. He's creating the art. He's weaving it into these awful deeds that he's doing and showing it to you in real time. So it doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist unless you're paying attention to him in that moment. And again, the problem with that is that the cops are going to come and get him as soon as he does this. But that's what I'm at the core of what I'm talking about is like a little white kid who wants to talk about doing Xans and shit can't do that. You can't fake it. I guess you actually could if you did, like, you had a studio and a lot of production money. But anyway,
Slim Jesus, you know.
Oh
God, that came and went, huh? Thank God for that.
Oh Jesus. But you get what I'm saying though, like that's the next level shit. Streaming, trying to
I
use
get
the
it, but
medium.
that's not something that I hope for. I mean,
I don't hope for it either. But
I
I'm
hope
saying
if I hope if somebody does that, it's, you know, they're more of a content creator on Instagram. Like you have people on Instagram who pretend to rob stores.
Oh my God,
you have people on
that's
Instagram
horrible.
who, you know, they walk into bodegas and they take things, like they just take, like, you know, they just put a ton of shit in their pocket and walk out, and then, you know, the owner pretends like he doesn't see things, but, you know, it's just shit that they set up.
Okay, but here's another conversation, right? All of these rappers, a lot of them have talked about how much they trap, how much they were doing shit in the past. Jay-Z has said it plenty of fucking times, right? Does the public perception of him change if we literally have evidence of him doing it? Of course, again, self-incrimination, but let's just put that aside and talk about this. What changes about an artist if they are literally doing these things and you see them doing it? Do all the little girls like watching these guys and thinking that they're hot and all that stuff? Does it change if they're like, yeah, I'm selling dope right fucking now. I told you I was doing it and I'm doing it now. And it's not in a song and it's in front of you. Mm-hmm. Does that change their perception?
Does it, the public's perception of them?
Yeah, because I mean, like, we can listen to this shit all day about how they beat niggas up or whatever and shoot them, but like, what happens when you?
You see videos of XXXTentacion beating people up. I mean,
yeah.
you do see that,
which I think that's kind of a part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think it'll change perception because I don't think this generation is that influenced by, do you really write what you do? I don't think they are. I mean, when you have a generation that sort of just accepted, just collectively just accepted Drake, and, you know, you probably have a lot of Drake stans who say, I don't care if he doesn't write his own music, he's still fucking great. You know, in my opinion, I'm of the opinion that, you know, ghostwriting has always sort of been a thing. It's just he can be that person, but just don't tell me that he is the best in the game when there are other people who write their own. It's just not happening. So when you have a generation that accepts this, then it's a generation that doesn't really care too much for the hip hop the integrity, the artistic integrity, if that's what you want to call it, because robbing people and still writing about it. That's your every artist prides himself on. I actually used to sell drugs and whatever. The generation doesn't care about that. I mean, so you can have a little.
I disagree, dude.
You don't think that? Okay.
I think people care about authenticity because what we're gonna be experiencing in the next few years, man, and next few years, I'm talking about the next decade, is a backlash against heavy social media and internet consumption and everyone trying to make their lives better via technology. I think we're gonna get a lot of people who go against online dating, against sharing everything they do online, all that stuff, and at the core of these experiences, at the core of this, the core desire here is authenticity and is real connections with people. People are gonna want to go to bars and meet people like the real way, like in meet space. People are gonna want to go on stage and talk.
I mean, that term, the real way. I mean, I don't even think you believe that. I mean, do you really feel like meeting someone in person is the real way?
I think it's way more, to me, authentic. We want to use that word. It's a lot, like, I'm talking about biologically real, man. Like meeting someone without saying this is my profile beforehand. Like, okay, I know it's real right now in the sense that Tinder exists. No one's gonna argue that it doesn't exist, and it's real, and most people meet online. Yes, I know that, but I'm saying, like, you meeting someone on the street is closer to how people have been meeting for the past million years. So I'm saying on a biological level, deep within you, I think that speaks to what humans are more so than the internet shit of like swiping someone right or left. And I think that stuff is making us unhappy. A lot of us anyway, myself, and I'm talking about myself, because it's so, because it feels so false. The experience of that feels false to me. At least, even when you meet the person, and maybe, I don't know if it's a man thing because we like hunting. I don't know, is that a thing where we like the thrill of experiencing
just admit it. You're just not good at online dating. This guy, he's trying to shit on online dating because he doesn't get any dates. Dad gets like 10 a month. Too many.
Dude, you know you would rather meet someone in real life.
Look,
that. Don't lie.
Well, look, here's what I think. The only thing that you lose, the only thing that's lost out of meeting people online is your shitty couple story about how you met. That's the only thing that's lost.
Really?
Now, when couples want to say shit like, well, tell everybody the story. No, it was just actually pretty practical. I swiped right and she messaged me and that's it. And then we went out on a date. That's really the only thing that changes. I mean, once you hit, how you meet is really, it really doesn't matter. Because, once you hit that gear with somebody, it's just like any other normal interaction. It's like, I don't approach women differently after I've known them for 2 weeks, whether if it's a person who I met online or somebody who I met at the supermarket. I don't treat them any differently. They're pretty much still the same.
I do.
The only thing is there's a page that, it's a resume basically. It's a resume for relationships. But no, I get what you understand. Of course, I would rather meet somebody in person because, first of all, you get to see what they look like in person, which is always very different than when you meet women.
Yeah, but you're also hearing them. You're hearing them. You're smelling them. You're in front of them. It's interaction. It's risk. Creepy. There's risk. You.
Dude, that's a very unique sniff that you have. There seems to be it's like a pump. Do that again. You're really doing that with your lungs. Like, you're digging in.
You guys do 2 sniffs. Do 2 sniffs on your girl and report back to me. Yeah, but there's also risk involved, and I know you're gonna vibe with me on this. Risk is what drives art. It's what drives you gaining anything in your life. Risk and sacrifice. What you're sacrificing is you looking too cool. You walk up to the girl and what are you? You're not risking as much if you're just sitting there swiping.
You're not.
If you go up to someone you're talking to someone in person, she sees you dealing with risk in real time. And even if she rejects you, she's seeing you accepting that risk and that sacrifice and moving forward. And that'll make you a stronger person.
But that is what the convenience of the internet brings you, right? I mean, it brings it to you in the form of dating. It brings it to you when you shop at a store, and the risk that you might go waste your time and go to Modell's and they don't have the free weights that you're looking for, and instead you could just order it online. So it reduces that sort of a risk, if you could consider that one, or compromising your time. That's pretty much what it does.
I'm not saying it's all awful. I know that, because when you're at 2 a.m. in the morning, it's like, okay, well, how are you going to meet a girl? You know what I mean? Like that sort of shit. But granted, yeah, you can't even meet a girl online because they're not going to want to meet you at 2 a.m. Unless they're a thought.
Technology sort of evens everything out, because I mean, how many women would you have liked to talk to this past month on the street, but they have headphones on?
Like 7,000.
Headphones just completely just throw you off. It's like you see somebody who's cute, and you know what? They could be listening to something that they're really concentrated in, but almost every woman has a fuck you face. You know, almost every woman has a fuck you face.
I've done it. I've bypassed the headphones.
You
before.
bypassed? How did that turn out?
Good.
Really? White girl, huh?
Yeah.
She doesn't want to seem racist. You know you have a legitimate advantage right there, right? Like, no bullshit. You know that you're a dark-skinned black guy, and if you walk up to a girl who's white, she's less likely to dismiss you because you're black. Especially if she's like a university.
Is that why I get rejected by most women I talk to in public? You're like with your fucking logic, I should be banging every white lady I ever talk to, which is not the case, my friend.
No, look, I'm not saying that it's gonna work every time, but that's a legitimate. That's a Malcolm Gladwell shit. That's like Malcolm Gladwell's gonna. He's gonna. What
if
make
I
a
wore?
podcast
What if
about
I?
it.
So if I have a slave get up, that should theoretically increase
your chances.
Miss, do you mind if I talk to you?
Speak with a southern twang as well.
My master said I could get out and talk to two white women tonight, and I came up to you and want to talk to you. I want to get emancipated, and if you reject me, my master said you're gonna whip me good. There you go, right now, white lady. Now please. Now he coming right now. Now please swipe right on me, okay?
Please, slave Tinder.
It's legitimate. I think that is a legitimate, and it's smart on your part. Good on you. I'm more likely to get ignored because I'm lighter. I'm lighter, so it's like, oh, you fuck out of my face.
That's. I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. Have I been rejected by black girls? And I mean, yeah, sure.
Black women don't like you, do they? They don't like you.
Yeah, they do. No, all the time, dude. I get DMs all day from black chicks, man.
DMs. You don't get DMs.
Shaniqua Johnson just messaged me.
Look how you insulted me.
And she said, I love you. You so cute.
Quickly on the subject of women. Daddy's got one more girl to. It's just one every week. It's just one every week.
You end up hating every woman you date, dude.
No, I didn't hate this girl. It just didn't go right. I didn't really care because I didn't really like her that much. But just a quick thing. I mean, this was a girl that I was on a date with like 2 times, and when I'm on dates with girls, I just if I think you're cool, I'm just gonna talk to you the same way I talk around my friends. So with this girl, I said the word fag maybe like twice during that night, and the second time I said it towards the end, she's like, I don't like your usage of that. Well, I'm imitating Dom's girl now. I don't like your usage of that word. and so we had a back and forth about it, and mind you, this was the first time we met, so she met me twice after that, and then the last time we met up, we were discussing Moonlight, and she was like, well, I wouldn't watch Moonlight with you. And I was like, wow, like, why wouldn't so I basically went out and I said, okay, so you think I'm homophobic? That's what this is about. And she's like, well, no, that's not what I said. I was like, well, fuck you implied it. Come on,
yeah,
not stupid. So me and this girl basically, it's not gonna happen, but she said something to me that it's like I could not believe. I just couldn't. First, it was so cringy and it was hilarious. She told me, now mind you, she's gonna be 29. She's 28. And she told me that her and her friends do this every few months. They have something that's called a meeting of the minds. Okay, By the
it's
way,
gross.
and before, after I paint this, I just want to ask you guys a question, and you guys tell me yes or no whether this seems like it would be appropriate at a meeting of the minds meeting. So a meeting of the minds is basically where her and she said 20 of her friends get together and they talk about important social issues and important life things, And she told me that the times that they've done it, it's gone swimmingly, like it's gone great. People don't really get in arguments, and it just made me think. It's like, all right, this is a safe space. That's what it is. It's a safe space with people who just think just like you, and who think whoever uses the word fag is a disgusting homophobe because you guys are extreme about everything. You throw one person into the basket. It's like people who think weed is a level 1 drug. It's like there's no degrees to anything. So now that I painted what this meeting is, wouldn't it seem appropriate if Spaghetti-O Girl performed at a meeting of the minds meeting?
I think for
That
sure.
makes a lot of sense because we're not going to judge her. That's her art. She's living.
They're just sitting there nodding, and no one
Yes.
in the meeting of the minds, no one has the balls to say like this is dumb. Not even to your face, but just like,
no one
this
because
sucks.
you can't judge. You can't in the words of Sam Harris, you can't criticize bad ideas. Criticizing bad ideas is a terrible thing. I'm saying this sarcastically. Obviously, Sam Harris says you should be able to criticize bad ideas.
Yeah, I mean, and that's that is a real issue right now. Like you can't call shit out, and I don't mean to call shit out in the way like yes, like shitty alt-right dudes will say this as a way to justify them saying that black people are inferior. Yes, but like to some degree, this is happening on the left with the policing of not only language but like ideas. And it's a thing of like, I'm so glad I'm black because no one's coming after me. You know what I'm saying? But like, but that's like an identity politics thing that's happening now. Of like, you can't even have a discussion because it just turns into a thing with like people screaming at each other and like everyone wants to be like stroked off about their ideas, which is it's not really good. I mean, if you're in a room and everyone is agreeing on everything.
20 people. I understand you want to have a meeting of the minds between 4 or 5 people. Okay, just look at Dead End Hip Hop. You have 5 people talking about hip hop. Look at how many disagreements there is there. And if we're gonna talk about serious topics and there's 20 of us, if I know 20 people and we're in a room and we talk about stuff and nobody walks off like pissed off, then nobody's accomplished anything because nobody in that room has presented something that is completely outside of what that group believes. Like there's nobody in that group that'll say, I don't think Trump is that bad a guy. Can you imagine if there's one person who says that? The whole fucking room would erupt. But you need that
But
person.
there's a part of me that's like, at this point, I completely disagree with them.
Meeting of the minds.
I'm at least willing to talk to them because the reality, dude, is like all I see here. The circles I run in are super liberal, and no one voted for Trump. I actually know one guy who voted for Trump, and it really bugs me. It bugs the shit out of me. I don't want to talk to him about it. But like, it is. I'm so saturated by like sad liberal people right now that it's like a part of me is like I just want to see what's happening outside of me. I want to see what the other guys are talking about because that's how they fucking won, I believe. Because like we just weren't paying attention,
Right.
and that shit's gonna continue to happen. And I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, we have to suck their dicks or anything, and we gotta coddle them and all that. I'm not saying that, but like in terms of tactics. What we did last time failed, so why wouldn't we learn from that?
How likely do you think you would put together
A meeting of the minds?
over 10 people and you guys are discussing things all night? I'm not saying that it all has to end in a crazy, like, in a blaze where people are yelling at each other.
Oh, right.
But how likely do you think that conversation is going to remain civil? I mean, if we're having real conversations, if we're challenging each other, that is that the goal? Is the goal to challenge each other, or is it to echo what we all feel like so we can all feel better about ourselves?
I mean, this is something that you and I do well. Sometimes, I mean, we agree on most things. There are things we disagree on, but ultimately, what I need from a person, I won't go there with someone in an argument unless I know that at the end of it, it's like, okay, let's go eat lunch. That kind of thing where it's like we can drop it and go to something else. Like, I don't want like someone's ideologies to be like the end all be all of whether or not I'm talking to them. I don't want to get emotional about anything like that. I don't get emotional about arguments. I can have a civil discussion with somebody about what they do or don't believe, because I'm also, I mean, every day trying to figure out how I believe about what I believe about things. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see someone get emotional about something, because that turns me off. If you start getting and the thing is too, like, raising your voice is something I do all the time. Raising your voice and sort of poking fun at things and laughing and stuff, that's not to make people emotional. That's never my intention. And again, I don't get emotional about things because this isn't personal to me. But when it happens to someone, and I see it happen when you're talking about something political, and you see people get like really emotional. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm done. I don't want to go there with you. Yeah. Because it's gonna get weird, and it's gonna turn into something about you and me. It's gonna turn into even if you agree with them, it kind of like. You're like, oh wow, you really have a deep, like, you have a real skin in this game in terms of like you're a Democrat, like that's how you identify, like you are.
Yeah, this is part of your identity.
There's so
part
much
of your
that
identity.
here.
Yeah, that's when it's dangerous. That's when things become dangerous. That's the sort of shit that that goes into people protesting and hurting people because they feel that they are so. They're so victimized that now it's almost justified that we hurt you because you are wrong, and because you're wrong, we now have the right to hurt you. Like that, I don't like being around those kind of. I mean, this was kind of like the feminist chick that I dated a few months ago. She was very cool. She was like a filmmaker, very interesting girl, Haitian. And that
was her first mistake.
Yeah, I know, you warned me. And our sort of last conversation was just like, because I was telling her, I was like, why do we always have to talk about such intense things? Like, why can't we just talk about just regular things? And she's like, this is who I am. This is what I am. And
it's like, no, we can talk a little bit about that, but again, we have to get back to, there has to be a balance. The best conversations for me are ones where it's like I can get intense, but like when I want to just sit back and talk about fucking basketball or some like stupid anime shit, we're gonna go there too. Like, I'm not gonna exist in that space with you for fucking 2 hours and then come out feeling like I got my ass beat. Mm-hmm. That's not fun for me. Yeah, I don't like that shit. There's a weird thing that happens with me when I think about language policing and people trying to control my ideas and all that stuff. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, and that has really informed how I feel about stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, me going to the Women's March is as close as I get to, like, political activism and stuff. Like, if there's another, like, Million Mad March with, like black men, all that stuff, or, like, that sort of thing, like, I think I'd probably walk around in a BLM protest, but, like, I don't chant, I don't hold signs up. I don't know what that says about me. Like, I have specific... So you're
just there observing?
I'm not saying I'm observing. I'm there kind of, I don't know if I want to say solidarity. I'm there. My presence is there. I'm there. But there's something about like language for me, like people telling me what I should or shouldn't say, people telling me to repeat after them, that kind of stuff. It really, it gets to me because I think a part of it is like being indoctrinated by a religion. And I think a lot of people aren't recognizing just how like the left, and you'll get a lot of people who are like they consider themselves atheists in these groups, but they've never been to church. They don't know what it's like. They don't know how close they are to being dogmatic in their ideas.
Right, because they think
they've never been in it.
Yeah, they don't understand that the rules and the parameters that they're creating is parallel to religion. They think it's not religion just because it has nothing to do with God and these control systems, but they don't view it as control systems because they're the ones controlling shit.
Yeah, and like strict atheists, even. I mean, I'm at the point.
Yeah,
now
even that,
like,
even that is its own system.
When I just left the religion, it was like I was really into the Dawkins and Hitchens stuff, or like, oh, he smashes this religious person, and I was like pretty strong, like, oh, yeah, there's no way. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? Like, I still consider myself an atheist, maybe closer to agnostic, whatever. Like, if you want to put a label on it, I don't really give a shit. I don't think it matters, but I'm also like, when I see a guy on the street who has a sign and he's like, I'm an atheist, talk to me, I'm like, you're a fucking cunt and you're just as bad as what I did when I was a kid and I used to knock on people's doors and proselytize to them. You're just as bad. You don't know shit either. You don't know. And it's fucking like annoying to impose your shit on people. And sure, I know that there are times when you're supposed to like squash really bad ideas and all that stuff, but I really see a lot of I don't know. I see a lot of like idea policing and people like they're putting their finger in my face and saying like, I want you to do this, that kind of stuff. So that's why, I mean, like, whenever I know that they're sensitive words, I just don't say them and all that stuff because I don't want to even get into that. I there's something about like someone telling me, like I said retarded around a friend the other day, and she was like, "Oh, you just use the R word around me." And just when she said that, it was like I felt like I was 8 years old again, and being told what not that I shouldn't watch rated R movies or whatever.
Yeah,
it takes me to this really like. It's kind of rageful. I'm gonna be honest with you. It makes me angry.
How did that conversation fare out? So she said you use the R word, and what came out of your mouth?
I like this friend
said,
a lot. Should have kissed me, old retard. It was. At that point, I didn't want to offend her, So I was like, okay, and I didn't get into it.
We are not alike. I am fighting.
It's not my job. It's not my job to get into.
Well, I know it's not your job, but
She's my friend, dude. She's my friend, and it's like, okay,
you're not. Well, you're not gonna be my friend and tell me something like that. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that makes you feel that way, but context. Do you feel like I feel like people, they don't consider the source. If you start hanging out with somebody, maybe you have more of an argument.
I think she does because we still hang out. I mean, there's obviously
that's what I was gonna say. Maybe you have more of an argument if it's your friend, but if it's somebody who you just met, you either make the decision to not hang out with them again, but don't ever tell a grown person, I didn't like that you used this. It's not. You think that it's you. You think that it's you being progressive, but really it's you just planting your flag, your bullshit into my life. If I use that sort of language, you should just make the decision to just not be around me. If you feel that I use those words, no one's going to react well to that. And it's not like when her and I had the conversation, I was like, well, what do you mean? I was just like, really? That bothers you? We went back and forth for a little bit, and then we sort of dropped it. It didn't become like a big thing. And then later on, it came in the, it wasn't even mentioned in the second date. And then in the next date, mind you, I didn't say it. I didn't really say it again. And then that's when she made her comment about Moonlight. So, so I also feel like it's this obvious thing where it's like everybody wants to feel like they're fighting the good fight. And hey, I did my part today. I'm fighting bigotry. I'm fighting it. There was a guy I was hanging out with, and I told him I wasn't gonna stand for that. Don't use that word around me. It's and it's so misdirected, and it's a lot of energy that's being used, and where you're lecturing people that don't need to be lectured because they're intelligent people who words mean different things to them. And of course, the argument is always, well, that's what a white person would say about nigger, and people always they always try to rationalize shit using that. But honestly, growing up, it's Louis C.K. thing. It's the word fag just meant, normally it meant you were being dishonest. That's what it meant. Like you didn't keep your word. If you said you were gonna lend me something and now you're reneging on it, it's like you used to call them in India. No,
you told me you were gonna suck my dick and you did.
Right. Well, that would make person think you fag.
You fucking fag.
Yeah, man. So it was, because it's one of those things when you're a kid, you don't really know what a fag is. The word's just used and it's thrown around. And of course, it's your childhood ignorance. I'm not saying that there's not ignorance that goes into that, but to seriously have a conversation with a person, if you can agree that 99.9 of what I'm saying is coherent, it's intelligent, it's engaging you, you're a fucking asshole if you have to point out one word that I'm not perfect. I'm sorry. Am I not using all the words that you want me to use in the way you want me to use them? You know what I'm saying? So I can't get with that. If I have a friend that says that to me, then we're gonna have it out. we're gonna have it out. Of course, you and I are different. But if somebody tells me you just use the R word around me, I'm gonna say, okay, what does that mean to you? I'm sorry. Are you fighting? Are you on the front line of LGBTQ issues or mental issues? Like, are you donating time in community service? No. You're just fucking complaining about what I said. You're not fighting for anything. You don't stand for it. You just so happen to have maybe a gay friend or somebody in your family who's autistic or something, but you're not really fighting a cause. You're just complaining.
It's a tough one because, like I said, I don't want to offend anyone, but I really also I don't. I mean, I know that there's like a couple of words that I would. It's like a couple of words I just don't use anymore because I know it's going to be controversial.
Which ones do you not use anymore?
Fag, tranny, and retard.
You almost said it like George Carlin in his 7 Dirty Words.
You can't say fag. You can't say tranny.
Really? So you stopped saying... Okay. So you stopped...
Yeah.
Tranny was just never a word I used. I never used the word tranny.
Me neither. But it's also... I mean, it's just something that I don't... to me, it's like, okay,
you
just
joke
three...
about being trans, though.
I made a joke about it?
You've made like 3 or 4 jokes about being trans. The listeners remember.
Yes. Okay, yes, I did. But that's not me saying... I didn't say tranny, though. I told you I didn't say the word. I joke about it all the time. I joke about being gay every day, dude. I'm sucking dick right now. But yeah, I make those jokes all the time. But it's like, if just that one, if those words are like what people are bothered by, it's like I don't want to like fucking. I got really queasy all of a sudden. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Sorry, folks. Yeah, I don't use those words, and I'm like, okay, whatever. If that's...
Are you confronted by any guys about this, or is it all women?
Never been confronted by guys.
Yeah.
And it's like I have gay friends, and I know that they are less bothered than the girl who mentioned it, because they're men.
That's how it works.
I mean, they're men. So it's and they know me. You know what I mean? Like they know what my intentions are, all that stuff. Again, I said I don't use the word, but it's like intention. It's like reading people's intention, context. Who is the person you're talking to? Right. But all that stuff is lost right now. So it's silly.
Well, I think it's a good a time as any. To remind these guys that they can always send us, at least for the remainder of the podcast. Don't keep sending it after we finish 200. Keep sending those voicemails. We are about to play 2 or 3 of those voicemails right now. Thank everybody who's sending us emails at this minute. Anybody who sent us an email, and please don't send us any questions.
Hey, shrimpers. My name is Chris Owens, and I'm from Montgomery Village, Maryland. I can safely say that the Double D's podcast has impacted my life in a very positive way. I think about who I was when I first started listening to the show. When I first heard Dom's interview with D on DSC, and he was all like, we should do this again sometime. And here we are, like, literally like 190 something episodes later, and I'm still laughing. And I cannot thank you guys enough. Like, I listen to the podcast when I walk to work at like 6 in the morning, thinking about how much I hate my job and how I can like make my dreams come true. I think that this summer I'm going to try and start a podcast of my own, and I'd love for you guys to hear it and give feedback. Yeah, just once again, thank you so much for what you guys do. You're like the older brothers I never had in my entire life. I mean, like, I had a cousin who was like that, but he voted for Trump, so fuck that guy. Just kidding.
Hey, my name is Jack. I'm from the west suburbs of Chicago. I'm 20 years old, and I've been listening to Double D's since around episode 60. It's the background, you guys and Julio and Eddie all lined up. I've really enjoyed the podcast. It's really something that I just look forward to coming back to every weekend. I enjoyed all the skits, all the characters, all the things you guys talked about. You guys are naturally funny and have good chemistry, and that lends itself well to being a good podcast. And I don't think I'll be able to find a podcast that tops the one you guys had for quite a while. It's been my favorite for a very long time. Ever since pretty much the reason I started getting into more podcasts was because of the one you guys put on. So, really meant a lot to me. And I'm sad to see it go, but I'll continue to support both of you guys from just the background, since I've never been one to comment or talk or interact with you guys. Yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say. I don't mind if you share it or not. Feel free to cut out all the ums and dead space that I had to make it fit more. But yeah, I'm sad to see you guys go, but wish you luck with everything you do in the future. Yeah. Peace.
Hello, Double D's. My name is Izzy. I'm 19 years old, and I'm from Juneau, Alaska. I had previously heard one of the episodes where you guys were talking about death grips and the Christmas with Anthony Fantano episode, but I didn't actively start following the podcast until, I think, December of 2016, when I was a freshman in college. And since then, the podcast has provided me with some great entertainment, because the chemistry between you two and the voices you do are just fucking hilarious. But, of course, also it's given me a lot of food for thought, like when Dom was talking about technology and how to unplug, or when D-Respect was talking about how to cater to your own strengths when courting a woman, because those things in particular are things I have had issues with in the past. So I just feel like you guys have enriched me intellectually with new perspectives and things to think about, as pretentious as that may sound. So yeah, thank you guys for creating a great podcast. I look forward to seeing whatever you two do in the future. And once the show ends, I'll probably be going through the whole backlog. So yeah, take care. Bye.